Coming up on this week's edition of the Racing Insiders, the Pirelli World Challenge is getting ready to start for 2014. We get analysis, background information, and headlines. Pat Moro, GM driver of the Sonic and the Global Rallycross, we'll get some background from him on GM's plans for 2014. Audi, team building, getting ready for the DTM season and the World Endurance Championship. They're driving the cars on city streets. And are you kidding me? Wait till you hear what's on our minds this week. That's next on the Racing Insiders. Welcome back to another edition of the Racing Insiders, the only place in broadcasting where you're going to get sports car content every week. I'm Bill Wood in Los Angeles. Jeff Lepper is in Sneads, Florida. That's much closer to the opening of the Pirelli World Challenge season in St. Petersburg, closer than California where he normally lives. Jeff, welcome, partner. It's good to see you again.
Yeah, thanks, man. I came down to Florida a few days early, hanging out at the family farm before I head down later today, down to St. Petersburg, Florida for round number 1 and round number 2, the opening round of the 2014 Pirelli World Challenge Series. And if you've had a chance to check it out yet, go to world-challenge.com and check out that entry list, because right now, Bill, 54 cars entered. We have 24 GTs and 28 GTS cars for our first 2 rounds at St. Pete.
Wow, that's a huge field. Maybe that's the residue, the leftover from people who don't want to be in the Tour de United Sports Car Championship. I think that's a real advantage for the Pirelli World Challenge. In fact, you have a headline this week, don't you?
Yeah, announced a couple of days ago, Will Turner, the Turner Motorsports mega powerhouse BMW team that actually set their roots in the touring car competition of World Challenge back in the early 2000s, won the championship in 04 and 05 in TC, are returning with their brand new Z4 GT3 car, the car that they actually raced in the 12-hour. Will Turner made a comment that they changed the oil, they cleaned it off, they're bolting their GT3 parts on, and Dane Cameron will be the driver as they return into the GT category.
That's the advantage of this GT3 program that I think Pirelli World Challenge is really going to benefit from this year. You don't have to have a separate car for everything. The United States needs to get it with the program globally so that people have a chance to come and race. And this is a perfect example of that.
Yeah, when you look at the series and the entries on here, 24 cars, there's a new driver classification in Pirelli World Challenge as well called GTA. And what this allows, and especially with all the controversy going around this gold and silver classification of drivers, this allows those gentleman drivers a place and a separate class. It's not really a separate class, it's just a classification in the GT category. They're going to be going for their own championship. So now you have gentleman drivers up against the pro. It'll be interesting to see if we see these gentleman drivers, if they can beat the pros.
It's also less expensive than 24-hour races, 12-hour races, 10-hour races, 6-hour races, multiple drivers. I really look forward to the Pirelli World Challenge season. What other kind of headlines can we expect this weekend in St. Petersburg?
Well, when you look at the headlines too, how about this, Bill? 18 different brands of cars competing along the 2 different classes. Pirelli World Challenge certainly is the battle of the brands. Going to our GTS class, we lose Peter Cunningham. He's going to be running GT now in that brand new Acura TLX all-wheel drive V6 turbocharged, moving back to GT where he ran and had great success in the Acura NSX. So Acura is back in GT now, but strong contingent returning from Lawson Aschenbach, your 2013 champion. We talked to him a show ago in his Black Dog Chevy Camaro. Mark Wilkins, my pick to win the championship in his Kia Racing Kia Optima. Jack Baldwin's back in that Reset MD Porsche Cayman. He'll be strong. Lost it really on one corner and the last lap at Houston last year did Jack Baldwin lose the championship, so he'll be strong all year. And a big contingent from TRG Racing, the Aston Martin GT4s. They're back with 4 cars here in the GTS category. Everywhere you go, it truly is battle of the brands in Pirelli World Challenge. Because I think the cars are the stars in Pirelli World Challenge. Yeah, we got driver classifications, we got some great names, Johnny O'Connell, Jack Baldwin, Lawson Aschenbach, Mark Wilkins, but when you look at it, it truly is the cars that are the stars.
So, Jeff, tell me, St. Pete is a street course. They've got the barriers. These big wide cars are running in between these canyons of walls. Do the drivers, do they like that?
Well, I'll tell you what, 3 of the first 4 races are all street courses with St. Petersburg, Florida. The next race is Long Beach Grand Prix 2 weeks after this race. So if you have a problem or an issue at St. Pete and you have a major incident on that street course, unless you have a backup car, a contingency plan in place, you're going to be struggling in Long Beach. I've heard it from negative and positives on both sides. It's great that we're teamed up with IndyCar on the IndyCar weekends. All but 2 rounds this year are on the IndyCar race weekends. So for the publicity and the outreach that they get from fan support teaming up with IndyCar, it's great from that perspective. From a driver perspective, it's awesome to be racing around, you know, basically the United States of Monaco at Long Beach. To have that as a driver profile on your resume, there's nothing greater than that. But that concrete corridor, racing next to these walls, you said it like that, Bill, it's got to be very nerve-wracking for these drivers. But if you can make it through unscathed, I think it just shows that you're probably one of the best drivers in the world.
How do you like it, Jeff? You've been a driver. You've raced against these walls. How do you like it?
From a purely marketing standpoint, I love it because it meets all the modes of what my marketing is looking for. As a driver, I don't really like it. I really am uncomfortable. I feel I can't push my car to the absolute limit. I tried to do that at the street race in Grand Rapids, Michigan in 2000. I said, I need to find out where the barrier, or not where the barrier is, I need to find out where the limit is, and I found out where it was, and I whacked the barrier on a brand new car, and we had to fix the rear end of the car. So whereas on a regular traditional street course, you can drop a couple wheels off and you go, okay, fine, that's how far I know I can push. Here, you test it with the body, and that's not the right thing to do.
Jeff Lepper, part of the Pirelli World Challenge Series, an insider here on the Racing Insiders. We're on the phone right now with Pat Moro. Pat, you have set up your program with GM. You had a run last year. You got it started in the Global Rallycross. And you tell me that GM is back for another season in 2014. Tell me about it.
Yeah, GM, and we're going to be back with Semi-Sonic again. We kind of knew it was going to come back around, but, you know, with the Tangs getting the contracts together and all that kind of stuff, we're a go for this season. Not for a full season, just for 4 rounds of the GRC, unless we secure more sponsorship to run additional rounds. But I feel we're going to be at the rounds that count.
And they start when?
We will start June 5th at X Games in Austin, Texas. And then we'll go to the Detroit race. And then we'll also be at the SEMA race and one more race to be determined yet.
Now, Pat, with your Sonic program, you know, some success yesterday. You mentioned in the last show that we had the 2-liter turbocharged motor in that GM was sort of supporting. Is that the same support you got last year from General Motors? Are they upping it? What's the status with that?
Yeah, it pretty much is the same support as last year. They've definitely offered up a little bit more technical stuff with some suspension engineering and a little bit more aerodynamic stuff. So they are stepping up the program a little bit, and like you say, it is the 2-liter EcoTech base. But then again, it's also coming out of the boys at Wixom up there. So they, I really don't know too many particulars about that. They kind of keep that kind of themselves.
What about Jeff, what about testing? Are you ready to start testing for the 2014 season?
We are. We've been busy in the off season. We've made a couple little changes. You know, this is a progression here. So, you know, when you have a completely new car, there's so many things that are involved in it, and there's so many different directions. We are ready for testing, but the problem that we have is the weather here is not really ready for us to test.
Format structure that Global Rallycross has had, they got a lot of momentum coming from that Las Vegas race because that was such a great event. Have you heard rumblings or talk about what the tracks are going to be like in the 2014 season?
I feel they're going to be pretty similar to the track that we had at the SEMA race. I think that, you know, has a little bit of indication of what Red Bull was going to bring to the table. And now it's going to, obviously, Red Bull is signing on as a title sponsor for, you know, a multi-year deal. I think that they're going to make more of the tracks look like that. So we have gone through a tire change this year. Instead of running the Coopers from last year, we're going to be running the Yokohamas. And I think that they're doing some stuff with that so that the tires will live a little bit longer.
So the track in Austin, that's your debut race. How will you get ready for that? What kind of testing will you do to get ready for that?
Well, fortunately, we have a really great place to test. It's a go-kart track that we do a lot of testing. So we're going to go down there. We're going to put all of the data acquisition stuff on the car. And now we're going to, also, when we go to test, we're not allowed to have GPS or the suspension travel pops or any of that kind of stuff on the car in the race, but we're allowed to have it for testing. So, this year we're moving and we're going to step that program up a lot. We have all kinds of really nice, cool, crazy little gadgets that are, bolted onto the car for testing. And I think that's going to, give us a lot more of, into the computer, and then we'll figure out how everything's working. And it'll give us a lot more data to work from and, where we can improve from.
Finally, you've got a second car. You're using it as a show car now, but it's actually a competition car. Give it a little ad in here. Who's going to drive that car? Who could step into it? What about Jeff or myself? Can we send you our credit card and get into the thing?
Yeah, absolutely. You guys can get into that car. All it takes is money.
So we need more than our 2 credit cards to get your attention, right?
Yeah. The biggest problem is I don't really have anything to run a credit card, so.
Pat Moro, GM Sonic driver in the Global Rallycross. It's going to be back with GM this year in a limited program, maybe growing. You got a second car. Patrick, congratulations. You got the Stage Rally Championship. You're trying to work this Global Rallycross program into the deal. Good luck to you this year.
Thank you, Bill. I appreciate it.
The Racing Insiders will be right back. You can't believe what Audi is doing to get ready for their program, the team building, right after this. This is the Racing Insiders.
This segment of the Racing Insiders was brought to you by Go Pro, be a hero. Want to keep up with all the racing action at the track? Well, download the new Go Racing TV iPhone and Android app. And remember to like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter.
Welcome back to the Racing Insiders. We're looking at pictures of an incredible scene in France this past week when the Audi program, the Audi Motorsports, put Tom Christensen in the R18 e-tron Quattro and had him drive to the Le Mans track over the city streets. Thousands gathered around. They're really beating the drums for this new Audi Quattro.
Yeah, what an amazing scene that was. I mean, really, as far as you can see, I think the only thing that I can see that ever compared to that was one time I went to Disneyland on New Year's Eve and looked down Main Street there, and it was packed with people. It really was amazing to see that. We got to check with our powers that be, Bill. I don't see there's any reason why, when the 24-hour Le Mans takes place in June, that we can't do a live broadcast from there. What do you think on the Racing Insiders?
I don't know why the producer of the show can't take us to France and let us spend a couple of weeks there, a week getting ready and a week calming down from the greatest race in
It'd be a team building. It'd be a team building exercise. That's what we're talking about. What Audi does with team building.
They're talking about team building. Exactly, Jeff. That's a good transition. We've got Mike Rockenfeller and Philippe Albuquerque talking about team building in the Audi program. Rockenfeller is the 2013, the defending champion in DTM. Let's take a listen.
You know, it's quite important that, especially beginning of the year, that we work together, develop the car, make the best out of it, and then during the year, you know, everybody first tries to do his best, tries to score, tries to have good races and win the championship. And then after a while, of course, with 8 drivers, you can't win the championship. So there will be 1 or 2 which will be the favorites, and everybody wants to be that one. And yeah, I think we have a good atmosphere at Audi. This I can say. I mean, we work on that quite a lot. That's why we are here. And since years, I think this is part of our success.
Felipe Albuquerque is one of the Audi factory drivers. He'll be in DTM, and he also is part of the R8 program, won with the R8s at Le Mans, at the Rolex 24.
I think there is a lot of things to cope with. Yeah, new car with a lot of technology, new project, long distance. I'm going to do in one day 2 seasons of DTM, so it's incredible. So I really need to prepare myself for that. The new teammates, I'm quite lucky because I had experience before in the past to drive with Oliver Jarvis together. Actually, we won 24 hours of Daytona, so that's a good indication. I also finished second. I was runner-up in the Italian GT with Bornanomi. So with Mark Bornanomi, I also had a good experience. So now I have 2 guys that I really know well. And I hope that not only Marco and Oliver will teach me and give me the guidelines, but also the car number 1 and car number 2. So I really rely on the Audi family. Well, my expectations. I think I'm going to have great fun driving the car. I have so far in the testing enjoyed a lot the driving style, the aero of the car. It's a fantastic technology in there. I will learn. That's what I'm looking for always in racing. And yeah, I hope that I can do a great racing, especially in 24 hours of Le Mans. A podium for sure would be happy, but because I have 2 teammates that they've been in the podium before, I cannot say that. So my goal is to win, to respect my teammates and to respect Audi. So I just need to work hard to be ready for that. The big difference on the DTM to Le Mans, to start with, is straight away you need to compromise with the seat. So you can you are seated lower in a position that you are more laid down, I'd say. It's smaller inside for the driver, and you have 4 times more the buttons in there. So there is a lot of configuration that we need to go through, especially with the new hybrid system. Driving-wise, the DTM has a lot of downforce for sure, but the Le Mans car, it has more downforce, but it's a car designed for long straights and not to slide at all. And you have all under control until you lose it, and you completely lose it. But it's just harder to catch than a DTM.
Audi spends a lot of time on that, and it obviously works. They get a lot of response from their drivers, and it works. They win on the racetracks. And it looks like they like each other.
Yeah, when you always think about big teams, and one of those teams, if you think about open wheel for a little bit, is Ferrari. Ferrari does a similar team building thing, but when you look at the structure of Ferrari, it's always about Ferrari. They would rather lose a driver championship if it meant winning a manufacturer championship. I don't see that with Audi. Audi, it's about the drivers. The drivers are the stars. If the driver succeeds, the team succeeds, and the car succeeds, and I think Audi builds on that the best of any manufacturer and any team there.
They're really pounding this R18 e-tron Quattro really hard. There's a lot of new technology, laser lights and LED lights. That's going to be an incredible car, all the hybrid technology inside of it. Looking forward to seeing that.
Are you kidding me?
Jeff Lepper is in Sneads, Florida, getting ready for the opening of the Pirelli World Challenge this weekend in St. Pete. Jeff, what's on your mind? What Are You Kidding Me?
Well, man, I'm talking about Sebastian Loeb, the first official FIA World Touring Car test session. And Sebastian Loeb in his brand new Citroen goes out there, sets the fastest time, beats all the regulars, Yvonne Mueller, Honda, Gabriele Tarquini. He's faster than the Honda. I mean, is there anything this guy can't do? He has a sports car program, rally time champion, you know. He comes out and he moonlights in the rally series and wins that round. I don't know who else to vote for. Maybe he's going to go for president somewhere and he'll win that too.
Now see, that's the pure racing insiders. Normally I'm the guy that's banging the drum for Sebastian Loeb, and here Jeff Lepper is doing it. Thanks, Jeff. I don't have to be the only guy carrying the torch for the guy. My Are You Kidding Me is looking at Long Beach. Our Chris Pook, the guy who bought big-time Major League Racing to the city of Long Beach, transformed that city, now wants to bring F1 back. They had a Formula 5000 in the first race, and then they followed with F1. They did F1 for about 10 or 11 years. Then F1 left in the mid-'80s and left it to IndyCar and Champ Car and kart. And now F1 wants to be back. You get numbers everywhere from $30 million to $100 million. I think the number is closer to $100 million involved in getting everything ready for the Grand Prix that bring F1 back to Long Beach. The city of Long Beach is in control here. They say that they can give just a little bit of money and make a lot of money. I don't agree with that, but are you kidding me? They want to go back to Long Beach that they left in the lurch a generation ago. For me, no. There's schools, roads, people, places, things in the city of Long Beach that need more attention than bringing Bernie Ecclestone and his greedy wallet back to the F1 in Long Beach. That's my "are you kidding me?" I'm sure some people disagree with me there, but tough. On the racing calendar this weekend, we've already talked about the Pirelli World Challenge. That 2014 season opens this weekend at St. Pete. Jeff will be there. He'll have the latest from the opening of what could be one of the great go-to championships this year. And V8 Supercars, that season continues. That's also one of the things you should be paying attention to if you're an observer of the Racing Insiders. Jeff, I know what you're going to be doing this weekend, but tell us what it's like. Give us a quick 411 on what it's like to follow that a round of the Pirelli World Challenge.
Well, Bill, it is fun to travel with this series, but the venues that we go to, being on IndyCar weekends, is what makes it. The first race at St. Pete, world's fastest spring break party. I don't have to say anything more, and you can watch that live Saturday and Sunday at worldchallengetv.com. I'll be doing the commentating. Watch me live.
All right. Find some time for the racetrack and the work partner. Just don't get caught up in the spring break. I'm going to be paying attention to the Pirelli World Challenge. Like I've said before, I really think that's going to be something to watch this year with all these new drivers, 50 plus. There'll probably be more going on as the season goes along. It's going to be a really good championship. And these GT3 cars that are coming in, they're going to be really, really tight competition. That's the Racing Insiders for this week. For Jeff Lepper in Florida, I'm Bill Wood in Los Angeles. Look forward to seeing you next week. Until then, take care of each other, respect each other. Peace.